Hello everyone, this is Jim, and this is my Omnath Locus of Mana EDH deck. Forgive my voice, I have a bit of a cold, and this is also the first video I'm doing of this nature, so forgive any silliness I may have to deal with. My commander, of course, is Omnath. He's a 1/1 for 3, but green mana does not empty for your mana pool, and you get +1/+1 on him for every green mana you have. So he gets very big, and you can do all sorts of shenanigans with keeping mana through turns. Mana base is very simple in this deck. I have 37 forests, and I have a Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, which is a legendary land. I can pay 2 and add green mana equal to the amount of green mana symbols in cards in the permanents I control. So this is a new addition. I actually haven't even played the deck since I added this, but I see no reason why this wouldn't be a good inclusion. Up next, I have my ramp spells: Cultivate, of course, Journey of Discovery, Sprouting Vines. This is a Storm, tutors for basic land for every spell cast before it, or I copy it for every spell cast before it. It's not the greatest card, but it can get me a lot of cards with how much mana I get. I sometimes cast 4 or 5 spells a turn late game, and it just simply helps me filter out my land, if absolutely nothing else. Search for Tomorrow. Searches for basic land and puts it into play untapped, and I can suspend it for 1 green, so the deck doesn't have a lot of 1-drops, so this is something to do on turn 1 if I have it in my opening hand. Usually if I have this in my opening hand, I stay ahead in the game and can usually win, believe it or not. And any Omnath deck has to, of course, run Boundless Realms. Going to keep on theme here with mana. I have Arbor Elf, which seems silly, but I have things that make my forest tap for more than 1 mana. So this is a 1-drop that can tap for 3 oftentimes, so it can be powerful. Green Seekers are 1-drop. I can pay green, discard a card, search my library for basic land, and put it in my hand. It's nice to be able to shuffle my library if someone tucks Omnath on the bottom. Also, if I top deck into a forest, I can shuffle that. I can discard that forest, search for another forest, and thin my deck a little bit. Also, early game, if I'm not drawing into lands, and this deck needs to have land, so helps me out there. Also, sometimes I have Garruk's Horde, so if I don't have a creature on top of my library, this will give me a shuffle effect to look for one, maybe. Butaka Gardener. This was in the very first deck I ever built, so kind of a nostalgic card for me. Tap, I put a land into play from my hand. If there's 10 lands, it flips. Good old Kamigawa flip cards. Once he flips, I can pay 6 and tap him, put an XX elemental creature into play, where X is the number of lands I control. Usually when he flips, he's dead the next turn, but that still means people are wasting removal on him, and I usually can dump a land or 2 extra into play when I have him in my early hand. Gyre Sage. Kind of self-explanatory, more mana. Somberwald Sage. Great turn 3-drop, tap him, play Omnath, float 4 mana for my lands for next turn. Can be a little bit annoying because I have to actually save this mana for creatures, because even though it's floating and stays around for turn after turn with Omnath, that mana is still marked as mana that only can be used to cast creatures. And some fetch creatures. Farhaven Elf grabs me a land. Wood Elves grabs me a land, does it better. Crows and Tusker. Almost always cycle this, but I can grab it from my graveyard with some cards, so that's not all bad. Elvish Aberration. Beefy dude, can tap him for 3 green. What can I say? It works. And there's 4 cycling if I really need that early land. Sekiku, Mother of Summer. Whenever a creature I control deals damage to a player, combat damage, I get that much green mana. Suffice it to say that if this is on the field and I start hitting people with Omnath, or even really just other creatures like even herself, that's 3 mana right there, things get out of hand very quickly. Another one of those it must be answered cards. And of course Vorinclex, because mono green. Vernal Bloom, all forests, including other people's forests, tap for an additional green. 9 out of 10 times this is helping me a lot more than anyone else, because most people, if they're playing green, they're not playing only green. And even if they are playing only green, they might not be running as many forests as I am, because like I said, 37 forests. Big in this deck. Doubling Cube, make all of the mana. Cage Sun, which I of course always name black because that's the only sensible thing to do in a mono green deck. Moment's Peace, because I have found that Fog honestly saves me more life than life gain ever would in this deck. And Flashback for quality. Terrifying Presence. Handy card if someone swings at me and I have Omnath to block something big, so I can prevent all the damage except what Omnath is dealing. So, another Fog, really. Natural End. Basically, naturalize when I get a little life, so not bad, and that life can be very relevant, you'll see when I get a little bit further into the deck. Rain of Thorns, more artifact enchantment removal. This also can hit pesky lands. Often can hit 3 things with this in a big EDH game, so 3 for 1, worth it. Acidic Slime, this is in here, again, for land removal, getting rid of those maze of ifs that are keeping Omnath from hitting, or other annoying enchantments and artifacts. It's also in here because I can tutor for creatures in this deck, and I can't tutor for Rain of Thorns. Some card draw now. You have Hunter's Insight, swing, and draw cards equal to the damage dealt if they hit a player. Momentous Fall. This often is something I cast in response to someone trying to kill Omnath. It gives me a lot of cards and a lot of life. Just all-around quality card. Fungal Sprouting. Help me have blockers, and also this really saves me against Grave Pact decks. If I get Omnath out there as a 30-30, 40-40, I get a lot of Sapperling tokens off this. Get X1/1 green Sapperling creature tokens, where X is the greatest power among creatures I control. And this is why I was saying earlier that life gain can be very relevant. I have Hurricane, deals X damage to all creatures with flying and all players. So if I have 43 life and everyone else has 40, more often than not, this says I win the game. Squall Line, the exact same thing, except 1 extra green and it's instant speed. And you knew this was coming. Genesis Wave. It's Omnath. You're going to run Genesis Wave. It's going to be silly. You're going to win the game if you hit this for anything over 10. And Green Sun Zenith. This is really here just for me to grab whatever I need at the moment. Late game, I grab Vorinclex to slow everyone else down. Early game, I might grab Somberwald Sage. Help speed me in my mana ramp. Really just so much flexibility here. I can grab a Acidic Slime if there's something I need to remove. And it shuffles right back in. And now for responses to those pesky board wipes. We have Creeping Renaissance, which lets me get all permanents of a chosen type back to my hand. And that includes, it has that nice flashback there too. So a lot of value there. And because I find this deck just peters out so badly after a board wipe and I don't have any presence. Praetor's Council. I often have a lot of mana. If I can cast Praetor's Council, I can start dropping things to double my mana, like Cage Sun and stuff, and play out my whole hand very quickly. Overwhelming Stampede, a nice foil. Not something I usually bother with. I just picked this up because I thought it looked nice. And yeah, all creatures I control get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures I control. When Omnath's at 50-50 or whatever, this means I kill everyone on the table. Unless they fog, which is really annoying. Not of this world, because playing free counterspells in green is fun. If you don't know Not of this world, it's a tribal instant Eldrazi. It counters a spell or an ability, so it hits abilities too, which is unique. That targets permanent I control. So only things that actually target my stuff, but it costs 7, and it costs 7 less if the target is a creature with power 7 or greater. So this is basically in the deck to stop Doomblade from killing Omnath. Protection, it's really just, it's a nice little bit of tech I enjoy. And more protection, Canopy Cover, gives Omnath hexproof, and he only can be blocked by creatures with flying or reach. Oftentimes this is a game ender if I get it on him turn 3 or 4, start swinging, and that's all she wrote. Mask of Avacyn, because hexproof. This is our Game Ender Vorak Battle Horns. Good creature has trample and only can be blocked by one or more. Cannot and can't be blocked by more than one creature. If you'll excuse me. So as you can see, I'm not swinging large power. Only be blocked by one creature. Commander damage is going to end things very, very fast. Green lacking removal. So I have Grappling Hook. Handy card. I can force people to block. Often people can play around this, but the double strike is pretty relevant as well. It's just all around mean. Usually the 4 cost for equip makes this a little bit iffy in most decks, but I usually have the mana that I can play this without too much trouble. This is an old card's Power Matrix. You tap it, target creature gets +1/+1, flying, first strike, and trample until end of turn. Really powerful, and it's instant speed, so I can swing, and whatever they don't block, or whatever they do block, depends on, the combat and the situation, it gets very dangerous. And the best part is, it's target creature. So, if someone else is attacking someone else on the table I don't like, I can be Mr. Politics Man and pump up their guy. Now, my favorite card in the deck, Cream of the Crop. Whenever a creature comes into play under my control, I may look at the top X cards of my library where X is the creature's power. If I do, put one of those cards on top of my library and the rest on the bottom of the library in any order. So when I start playing my big creatures, or late game, if I have, say, 10 lands in play and this in play and Omnath is dead, I can recast Omnath for 5, floating 5, he enters the battlefield as a 6/6, so I can look at the top 6 and choose which one goes on top. It's really good, it gives me the cards I need. Only problem is, if there's 2 or 3 cards I really want in the top cards, I only can choose one. That's not a big problem. It helps me much more than it hurts me. If people leave this on the field, I'm going to get the cards I need. I'm probably going to win. Helix Pinnacle, alternate win condition. I have to put 100 counters on this, 1 mana per counter. It has Shroud, it's hard to remove, it has to basically be a destroy all permanence effect to remove it usually, or a non-land permanence usually. At the beginning of the upkeep, if 100 counters are on this, I win the game. Because alternate win conditions are fun. Defense of the Heart, kind of a staple here in mono green. During my upkeep, if an opponent controls 3 or more creatures, it's EDH, and they're going to have 3 or more creatures. I sack this, search my library for any 2 creatures, and dump them on the field. That helps me a lot. Usually I actually don't get Vorinclex. I wind up getting... you'll see. I'll mention the card when I come to it. Planar Portal. I can pay 6, tap this, and tutor my library. For any card and put it in my hand. Again, 6 to play this, 6 to tutor. It's a lot of mana. In Omnath, you don't care. My one and only Planeswalker in the deck, Garruk, Primal Hunter. Get Beast tokens. Can ult him, get a bunch of 6/6 worms. More often than not, I drop him, get a Beast token, then do -3 to draw cards equal to the power of creature, draw cards equal to the power of one of the greatest power among creatures I control. Excuse me, which is often Omnath, which is often quite a lot. Usually I have to discard because I'm not running Reliquary Tower. I don't like Reliquary Tower with Omnath because it doesn't make green mana, and it is only green mana that stays in your pool. Still, if I draw a lot of cards, I discard, I'm still winning that way. I figure I get to choose the cards I keep. Bellowing Tangleworm. Other green creatures I control have Intimidate. It has Intimidate. This says Omnath hits you unless you're playing green or artifacts. Roshan Mentor. Green creatures I control have Trample. Trample, Trample. This is one of the cards I grab with Defense of the Heart. Soul of the Harvest. When non-token creatures enter the battlefield under my control, I draw a card. I find that early card advantage wins the game faster than just outright mana ramp. Because this is the field, another creature hits the field, I'm already two creatures in play, and I draw a creature, I probably have a creature to drop on the turn. That's 2 extra cards already, even if they remove it that turn. And Primordial Sage, more or less a wimpy version of the last card. But I run both because card advantage wins. Garruk's Horde. I should note, the last 2 cards and this one all combo brilliantly with Cream of the Crop. With Omnath, if I have 100 or 200 mana, which happens with Doubling Cube, I have one of these in play. I can play a creature, look at the top cards of my deck, probably find another creature, put that on top of my deck, play another creature, put that on top of my deck. You get where I'm going. Fierce Empath, tutor for whatever +6 CNC card I need, put it in my hand. Predator Ooze, previously had this in my standard deck, but rotated out, so figured I'd put it in here. Why not? Indestructible is good. We'll see how it works. Haven't played the deck yet, so put this in there. Grazing Gladeheart, because, like I said, with Hurricane and Swallowline, the life gain is relevant. I need to stay ahead of everyone else. If I do, then I win the game when I hit those cards. Scoot Mob gets 5. If I control 5 or lands, gets 4+1/+1 counters every upkeep. This is pretty much actually in the deck to draw removal, so that I can play this and then play things I actually care about. But if no one deals with this, it does get very dangerous, obviously, and I'm happy either way, I suppose. Ulvenwald Tracker can make creatures fight. Usually they're fighting Omnath. Usually when things fight Omnath, they die. Silklash Spider. Flying is obviously weakness of green. This clears the skies very effectively. Usually once this hits the field, I clear the skies. No one else plays flyers until this is dead. This is another card I almost always grab when I have a chance to search my library for a creature. Spearbreaker Behemoth. It's indestructible. I can pay 1 to make any creature with power 5 or greater indestructible until end of turn. Indestructible says I win. Yeva Nature's Herald. It's nice to play Green Go. It's handy, and even if you don't have any good threats in your hand, if you have 4 cards in your hand, they're all lands, and you just pass and act confident, they're not going to swing at you because they don't know what you're going to play. It's a good poker card. It's a threat even if you don't have one. And because people play blue, Thrun, the Last Troll, can't be countered, has hexproof, you can regenerate him. Artisan of Kozilek, one of the few not green creatures in the deck. When you cast him, you get to bring a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a 10-9 Annihilator 2. Gets it done. And the last creature in the deck is another one that gives me life, Engulfing Slagworm. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, it destroys the creature it's in combat with before combat damage. So this will even kill Frook Strike, Death Touch, which nothing else does. It's a 7/7 body. Flashing this in to block with Yeva is a lot of fun. Pretty solid stuff. That's my Omnath Locus of Mana deck. I'm well aware there's some cards I should probably include that I haven't, either for price or perhaps just because I want to try to keep my deck a little bit more unique. I hope you enjoyed my deck tech video, and I expect to be doing more of these soon. Thank you very much, and goodbye.